of understanding the value of being a dualpreneur. And with these masterminds, we want to make sure that we provide you with the resources, information, and experts to help you hashtag keep dualpreneurs in business. That is our goal, to keep you in business, especially during this time. If you are watching this after the pandemic and the quarantine, congratulations, you survived and you lived to tell about it. If you are watching during the pandemic and quarantine, it could be a challenge for some of us. So we want to make sure that we provide you with the resources to help get you through it and help you get better out of it. We want you to be better out of it than you were going into it. So one of the things and one of the concerns that most people have is, one, how do we get this government money? You know, how do we get the stimulus for businesses, the PPP, the EIDL? What do we need to do that? And a lot of it has to do with, what did you do to legitimize yourself, you know? And a lot of people don't want to pay taxes, or they don't want to report taxes, or they want to file that they're a business, but then all of a sudden they want the government to bail them out. Well, it doesn't work that way. If you don't put certain things in place, then we won't be able to benefit from some of the government assistance. But what does that look like? And if you haven't done something, what can you do now so that you can qualify for some of this money that's out there, and more that's coming out there? Well, I had to, of course, call my big brother and say, you know, Brian, I need you to share this information. Y'all know my virtual Rolodex is thick. You know, it's tight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to call my big brother and say, boo, I need you to do what you do, because this is what he talks about all the time. If you follow him on his page, you will see he's talking about this all the time, and educating and sharing and giving to everyone, because everyone deserves to shoot their shot to get this money. So Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to share with our community with dualpreneurs.
Nah, thank you. Thank you for having me on, man. You know, I've been waiting for this moment. So, you know, I'm excited about this.
That's good. That's cool when my family and friends are waiting to get on the platform, like, oh, is it my turn yet?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
You know, it's like Oprah, man. You the Oprah of our generation. Like, if you get on dualpreneur, like, I made it.
Man,
You know, that's how people say, like, once you get on Oprah, that was it. You know you've done something right.
Man, you know what? He just made my day. I was having a hard day.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're going to keep that lie alive. I'm be Oprah today. Whatever.
You're looking at the money. You're looking at the money, not the influence. We're talking about the influence.
Right.
With influence, the money going to come.
I am excited to be a resource, but you know, I'll be that Oprah today. Shoot. I don't mind the money for Oprah too. You know what I'm saying? I'm open to that too. Yeah. But speaking of the money, one, let's, you know, explain to the world who you are, why you're qualified to talk about this, and let's get into some of what's necessary to legitimize the business, and how do we get access to this stimulus money?
All right. Well, my name is Brian Joubert, and AKA Rich Boy, and Rich Boy actually stands for really interested in caring how businesses operate internally. You know, because this is really my passion. Everybody think Rich Boy is about my lifestyle, and really is not totally about my lifestyle. It's about my passion. And realistically, I love teaching people business entrepreneurship, but I always say you got to have your infrastructure right. So when we talk about the ending on the I of Rich Boys, that's that internal. So if your internal part of your business is not straight, it's going to be hard for you to progress. And so, and when we talk about that, we understand the foundation of when we build in a house, the foundation got to be strong for that house to last forever. We understand it in relationships. You know, if the internal part is not straight on your relationship, it's not going to last. But we never think about it from a business perspective, that your infrastructure has to be solid. You know, and so that's what I love doing now. I'm 23 years in the tax game. I basically have offices around the country. I'm a over 30 plus entrepreneur. You know, I've been doing this. The longest I've ever had a regular job was 11 months. So I've never even worked a job over a year before. So this is in my blood, man. This is what I do. This is what I love. You And I always say that everything that I can't name very many people, and I challenge people to name anybody that they could think that's more successful than me. But my thing is the difference between me and most people. I want everybody to have that same success. So that's why I love platforms like yours that give me an opportunity to give people what I got and what I have and my resources and my knowledge and my information so they can benefit from all of these things that we're losing out on in our community.
Well, so let's just go right on ahead and let's talk about some of the things that's important for businesses understanding about taxes and startups, and what we need to do to position ourselves to get some of this Corona cash.
Yeah, and so one of the first things when you talk about dualpreneurs, I'm hoping that everybody, this already means that you must have a job. Because I always say if you got a job, because I was going to name my next book, basically, if you have a job and you don't have a business, you stupid. That was going to be the title. Because you have to have a business, even if you just playing the tax game. And so a lot of people think that, all right, well, you know what? I got a job. I don't have enough time for a business. You better get a business, because if you're doing 50%, if you're doing 100% of the work and you're bringing home 50% of the money, you're losing. You're losing. Don't be out there hashtag winning. You're not winning if you're doing 100% of the work and somebody's taking 50% of your money. So that's why you need a business, if nothing else, when you're working a job, just to offset your taxes. Rich and successful people play this game all day. They understand it, and so that's one of the reasons why I tell you to get a business first and foremost. Secondly, you need that business because that business may just prosper. It may just prosper to the point where I may leave my job if I want to, because now I'm making enough money, and so in order to get all the things that's out there, you have to position yourself. And that's, I think, we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, about really positioning yourself and how you do that from a business perspective. Because I'm more than sure that's what your audience want to know.
Absolutely. So let's get to it.
All right. So the first thing I tell people is form that LLC. Form the LLC, because see what's happening now, even with all of the stuff, and please feel free to throw out any questions, but right now with all of the stimulus stuff, right now everything is pretty much shut down. As far as the EIDL, that was the first one that was put out there. They're no longer doing that one. The money's gone. I doubt if it's going to come back.
So explain to everybody what EIDL
EIDL is for, it was Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That was the first loan that they put out there, and that's the one I told everybody to apply for. I don't care what you were doing. I don't care if you was a barber, a hairstylist, nail tech, stripper, whatever it was, you should have applied, because that was an income replacement loan. That means that if I lost my income, if my income been reduced because of the pandemic, then I need to basically replace my income. That was the one that they were pretty much giving out. So you didn't have a whole lot of criteria behind that other than really apply and let's see if you're going to basically get this loan. And so what happened was, I don't think they realized how many people was going to apply for this. And when they actually started putting it out there and they saw a number of people and the money ran out initially, then it was like, no, we can't afford to put this back out. So I don't think that one's coming back. But if you already in the pipeline, and you applied on the initial one, it's a great possibility that you still could get the EIDL loan. It's still a great possibility if you've already applied. Now, the people that got it initially were the people who applied first. And when I say first, because probably I would say about 85% of the people applied when it was considered a streamlined loan. And all you had to do is go in there, put in your information for your business, say how much you make, how much you spend, and it didn't ask for any type of documentation. But prior to that, before they went to Streamline, they asked you for a 4506T, which is a form that institutions ask if they want to check to see if whatever you gave them matches what the IRS have on file. So they were asking for that. They were asking for tax returns. They were asking for financial statements and an application. So the reason why some people got their stuff much faster than others, because if I was in that first wave that had to put all of that information in, I was vetted at that point because they knew that I was legit because they had a copy of my tax returns. They had the application, they had the 4506T. So a lot of people, if you're still waiting, it's still because they still may be verifying some stuff because you didn't give them anything up front. The other part of that is what they told us they wasn't going to do, and they end up doing was doing a credit check. They ended up doing a credit check, and they kept saying it was going to be no credit check involved. But what we were finding out is they were pulling your credit, especially Experian. They were checking your Experian score. Because even when people told me that, I went out and checked my own, and I saw that they had did a hard inquiry on my credit. That was another thing that a lot of people who had pretty good credit that applied, they end up getting an advance much faster than everybody. Because once again, you're not a credit risk. And so those two things were pretty much one of the determining factors to show that you were a legitimate business and that your credit was I guess, somewhat decent. The LLC part, that's why I say you got to legitimize it. So it's so many of us actually operating as sole proprietors. And basically what a sole proprietor is, it means basically I started my business. I just have just my social security number. I'm not registered with the Secretary of State. Any of that. That's typically your barbers, your stylists, your nail techs. They usually operate as sole proprietors. It's going to be that much harder for you to grow and progress, people, if you don't legitimize your business. And when I say legitimize, go to the Secretary of State website, form a LLC at least. And we're going to talk about what you need to do afterwards, because now what people are hearing, they're listening to cousins and coworkers, and they're saying, all right, I'm going to file an LLC, but this is basically all I need to do. No, it's another step past that, because you can't get sued personally. You have the separation from the business, but it's a lot more from the tax side. All right, so Tara, I saw somebody ask a question. You want to address questions at the end during how?
We can address them at the end, but right now, since you're talking about LLCs, the question that Michi had was, what's the difference between an LLC and a C and S Corp?
All right, so the difference is a LLC is a limited liability company. It's a limited liability company, and meaning that you have limited liability of protection, meaning that if somebody try to sue you, you are separating yourself from the company. So if somebody try to sue the company and the company does not have any assets, any money or anything, it's harder for them to come after you personally. And that's one of the other reasons why I say get away from the sole proprietorship. Because when we talk about, we have to talk about the sole proprietor. Because the sole proprietor, you are responsible for everything. You are the business. Because your social, your liability is tied to the business.
All right, do it. Go, do it. In your room, just put it down.
Oh, okay, somebody having a parenting moment. All right, so the sole proprietor is where you want to get away from. You want to go to the LLC. The LLC is a limited liability company. It separates you from the business personally. The LLC was formed because it was an extension of the sole proprietor. So people were saying that they wanted the protection of a corporation, but they didn't want to have to go through all of the things that a corporation had to do. And when we talk about all of the things, meaning they didn't want to have a board of directors. They didn't want to have minutes. They didn't want to have quarterly meetings. All those things that you are supposed to do as a corporation, they wanted the protection of that, but they didn't want all of the other stuff. So the LLC was formed as an extension of a sole proprietor. And so what happens is now when you form the LLC, most people are what we call single member LLCs. They form it as themselves. Now you get the protection. You get the protection that nobody can sue you personally, but the issue with that is is you still get taxed as a sole proprietor. And now when we talk about a sole proprietor, that means when I say get taxed as a sole proprietor, you actually pay two sets of taxes. You pay self-employment tax, which is at 15.3%, and you pay federal taxes, depending on what federal tax bracket you're in. So you can easily pay 30% plus in taxes on any money you show as a profit. Now, we're going to get into that a little bit, because when I say show as a profit, one of the reasons why people don't hurt that much with that, because we have a tendency not to show profits in business. But that hurts us from a positioning standpoint. So this is what I always encourage. This is the biggest loophole that's been out for years that nobody's been telling us. And the reason why I say out for years, because if you read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki talked about this in a whole chapter 17. He talked about corporations, be a corporations because you can bypass the taxes, which is the S corporation. The S corporation is what they consider a flow-through entity, or when you hear in the news or you hear different things, you might hear say as a pass-through entity. What that means is, that means that any money I make in my business, I don't care if it's $1 million, I do not pay any business taxes, zero, because it's a pass-through entity, meaning that it passes through my business. It passes through my business and flows over on what we call a K-1 to your personal, meaning you only pay tax one time, and that's on a personal level. You pay no business taxes. Is that not a phenomenal loophole, that I can make $1 million in my business and pay no business taxes? It's the biggest and best loophole that's out there that nobody's telling us about. So one of the things that I teach people is how to form your LLC, because see, the LLC is the most simplistic thing to file, because all you have to do is go to the Secretary of State, fill out the paperwork for the LLC. And now you have a legitimate business with the state. But as I stated, you're going to get double tax. But the game is you do what they call an election. An election to be taxed as an S corporation. So what I'm saying is, I'm a LLC, but I elect to be taxed as an S corporation. And there's two forms that you have to fill out. One is an 8833 form, and these are IRS forms. And the other form is a 2553. That's 8832 and a 2553. Those two forms are so significant, because now what it says is, it says that I have an LLC, but I want to be taxed as a corporation, but I want to be taxed as an S corporation. So now I have the simplicity of an LLC, of starting my business. I have the liability of separating myself from my business personally, and now I have the tax break. I have the tax break of not getting double taxed, because as a corporation, it's going to flow through, and I'm only pay tax one time. And the reason why that is so important, because it helps us get in the game. And when I say get in the game, because see, first of all, if you're not listed on the Secretary of State website, when we talk about these loans and these lines of credit and things that they're giving, one of the first place they go and check is the Secretary of State and see if you're what they consider legit. If you're not on the Secretary of State, people are not even paying you no mind as a real business. They're not even paying you no attention. So don't talk about getting no money and getting the bag, because all you're going to get is that Kroger bag if you ain't registered on the Secretary of State. So you got to at least do that. And the reason why I tell people to do this, because most of my clients, I deal with business clients primarily, homeowners, rental property owners. So a lot of times my clients need to show profit. They either want to know, how can I reduce and minimize the amount of money I owe, because I know I'm an owe. That's their thing. I know that I'm an owe. How can I reduce my tax liability? Nobody's talking about how I can reduce. Everybody's talking about how you can get a big refund. We can put it on a card. We can get it back to you fast. But nobody's telling people who owe money how to reduce. So that's what I master in. But then the people who need to show money, because if I'm dealing with people that's in real estate, they need to show that their business is making money so they can go out and buy properties. These companies need to show money because they're trying to go get a loan or a line of credit for $100,000, $250,000. They need to show money. The reason why this is so important is because if I understand this game, I can take my $100,000 that I'm showing as profit on my taxes. If I understand the S Corp loophole, that means if I don't have to pay that second set of taxes, because remember I told you, when you show money, you usually have two sets. You have federal taxes and you have self-employment tax. As an S corporation, I bypass those self-employment tax. That's 15.3% in additional taxes. That means I primarily cut my taxes in half. So now if I can show 100,000 and instead of paying 20,000, 25,000, I only can pay 10 or 12,000, I may be willing to do that because if that 100,000 is going to let me go get $150,000 loan or line of credit, I can pay off the 10 to 12,000 I owe in taxes, and I'm still ahead $115,000 that I can go buy the necessary equipment, get staff, supplies to grow my business to take it to another level. That's the game that we're not being taught. And all of those things are considered tax strategies. And I always like my man Will always say, a tax strategist. And so it's a difference between a tax professional and a tax preparer. And a lot of y'all have outgrown your tax preparer. See, when you didn't have a business, you didn't have a rental property, you just had daycare for your child, your tax preparer was good. But now that you're trying to advance, you need a tax professional now. That's the difference sometimes in keeping you from where you at, basically, to where you want to go.
That's good stuff. Especially now, like if you want to be a legitimate business, if you think about successful businesses, they have accounting departments, but they hire tax professionals or they hire a tax professional to help them with their taxes or whatever. They don't have a tax preparer to do that. So you have to think of where you are. If you want to be a business or you just want to have that little hustle, because hustles don't qualify for a lot of the money that a lot of people need to sustain their business or grow their business. So sometimes we have to turn the hustle into a business.
Yeah, and sometimes, like I said, and it all depends on where you want to go with it. I always tell people, you may not want to be a multi-million-dollar business. You may not want to be a $250,000 business. You may just want to stay on your job and make a little extra money. So that's going to look a little different from a tax standpoint. That's going to look a little different on how you roll your stuff. But most people that you and I know, they want their business to be their lifeline, in a sense that it's going to carry everything that I own, everything that I know, and it's going to catapult me into the future and retirement. So you have to look at that a little different. And the reason why this is important that you create these type of platforms to get people aware, because see, even with what's going on right now, somebody just sent me an email and say, Brian, you might want to send this to your audience, because we getting these PPPs. You've seen everybody now saying, I got my PPP deposit, I got approved for it. That email specifically said it's going to be a great chance that 90% of these businesses is going to be audited. That's going to be audited that receive this money, to make sure you're paying out your employees, that you still have these people on staff. Because see, the PPP, when we talk about the payroll protection program, that's the other part of the stimulus. That's the second phase of the loan that they're giving out. So when you hear PPP, it's for payroll protection program. Listen to that first word. It says payroll, not Louis V, not Gucci. Payroll, which they want 75% of that. So if you do get a loan, the PPP loan, it's for you to keep your staff on board, not to keep everybody fired and say, I can't afford them, and take the money and then do what you need to do with it. So 75% of that money is supposed to go to retaining your staff. The other 25 goes to office expenses. So that's to keep up, so that's to buy supplies, pay rent if you have to, or whatever it is that you have to do with that money to operate your office. That's what the 25% is. Now, the beautiful thing about the PPP loan, especially if you're legit in every phase, is the fact that I always say it's non-paybackable. That's a word that I basically got in the dictionary now. Non-paybackable. You don't have to pay it back. If you retain your staff for 8 weeks, if you retain your staff for 8 weeks, and that includes contractors as well, so it don't have to be W-2 employees. If they gave you the money and you retain those people for 8 weeks, that money becomes a grant. That money becomes a grant. But the problem is, if they started auditing most people, it's going to be an issue if you're not bringing your people back. If you have no accountability to show you've been paying people out, you got no accountability to show that you got 1099s or any type of statements that you've been paying people on a regular basis for those 8 weeks, it's going to probably be a problem. So we got to make sure that we're smart about how we do our business. And so it's not just about having a business, it's about doing business the right way. And so the PPP, the way it works from a loan perspective, because that's another one, that they ran out of money initially. But if you were already in the pipeline, you have a better chance of getting funded soon. If it's a situation where you're just applying, that's not to say that you're not going to get it, but the chance is going to be a little bit tougher for you to get it if you came on a second wave. Now, the way this is constructive as far as the amount of money that we're going to receive. If you have a monthly payroll, let's say your monthly payroll is $5,000 a month. If you filled out the application, because I had people that filled out the application and still didn't understand how this worked. So if you filled out the application, it's 2.5%, where it's 2.5 of your average monthly payroll that you would receive. And the way that works is, when I say 2.5, that means if my average payroll is $5,000 a month, that means I get $5,000 for 1 month, $5,000 for another month, and then that 2.5, that half is half of that $5,000, so that's $2,500. That means now I get $12,500 as a loan amount. So you're not going to be getting no $50,000 and $60,000 like some people think they're going to get $40,000 and $50,000. It's going to be based on the amount of payroll. So if you put in there that your payroll is $3,000 a month, which for a small business, if you're a single person with one contractor, one employee, $3,000 a month is maybe not out of the norm. So you basically only looking at about $7,500. So don't think that you're going to get these big old numbers. So you still got to get your business in line, because though after all this is over, you still got to be positioned to get whatever else is coming. You got to get whatever else, because now after the stimulus is gone, then you may want to go to a Wells Fargo or somebody, because now the stimulus prepared me to get everything lined up. So now I'm more attractive to other people now. So it ain't just for the stimulus. We got to think long term on this, because first of all, you need to be doing this anyway if you're running a business. The things that they're getting you to do, the things that I'm telling you about login, who you pay, how much you pay, how often you pay, and those things need to be done anyway. Issuing people 1099s, those things need to be done anyway.
So Brian, it's like you trying to lose weight for a specific event. Like you should have lost weight before, but now you really got to lose weight for it. So you're doing everything that you need to do to lose the weight. You lost the weight, but now that you fit the size, now if you keep doing what you're supposed to do, and another opportunity comes up, you already in that goal weight.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is just maintain. So you're ready without having to get ready. Right now, we got to get ready and all this mess. So we're working hard. We're doing the extra reps. We eating right and all that stuff just so that we can fit into this bikini because summer's around the corner.
Yeah.
But we may have another photo shoot that's going to happen in the fall. Well, if we already got our body tight for the summer, you know, that was really for me.
Nah, but know what? I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm still in that. I'm still in that. Because like you said, that's right. Because if you think about it, if, you know, in May, people get married. So I got to get ready for May so I can be able to fit in this gown. I can fit in this dress. But not realizing that June and July is beach time, which is only a month or two down the line. So realistically, I need to get in shape and get in fit so I can fit this dress. Because as soon as I come out of this dress, I'm gonna be going to the beach a month later, and I don't have to get re-ready.
Right.
Because I'm already there. And what's gonna happen is, and as we know, I tell people, 90% of people are average. So if you're already ready, you're gonna be ahead of 90% of the people already. So that's a great analogy, you know. And we ain't gonna even say personally.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great analogy.
That was really for me. So, but it's not gonna happen. But yeah, my financials are great though. My weight is another episode. All right. That's cool. So now you talked a great deal about the importance of legitimizing ourselves and how to do that, and why that's so important to get access to some of the stimulus money, not only just the stimulus money right now, but for future money that business loans,
Yes.
you know, small business loans, whatever, business credit cards or whatever, and why that's so important to do that. So what if people need help? They're like, look, I see what you're saying. I have a tax preparer, but they're not where I think they need to be. What can they do, or how can they work with you, contact you, and all that?
Well, I guess the easiest way now is probably shoot me an email, or you could DM me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. My personal Instagram is richboy, RICHBOIJUP1. That's RICHBOIJUP1, Rich Boy Jupe. And then my business Instagram is LB Tax Biz, biz with a Z. So that's LB for living better, LB Tax Biz. And follow me on Instagram. But also, you know, you can shoot me an email at updates with an S, updates@lbtaxservice.com. It's LB Tax Service, updates at lbtaxservice.com. And the website is lbtaxservice.com. You know, and if some of y'all basically are still phone related, is 678-213-1141. 678-213-1141. And I have no problem giving out my personal stuff, but I get so much stuff now, I might lose a text in the mail. Like, I'll get one text and have good intentions, say I'll call you later, but then I done got 8, 9 more texts, and before you know it, it got shot to the bottom of the line. And, you know, so I don't mind personally dealing with people, but I know right now what's best.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with my family that love giving their phone numbers out to everybody, but that's okay. Y'all get their phone numbers. Write it down.
Yeah, that's the office number.
You
Get
know,
that, you know.
call them.
If it's one thing they good about, you know, I know what I'm not good at. So I know they good at getting those messages and giving them to me, you know, and I know that my mind, I'll mentally call you back all day. Yeah, I'm a good mental caller. Yeah, I'm great. I challenge anybody on mental calls.
I might have you beat there because I mental text too. Like, I know that I text you. Maybe it was in my dream,
Yeah.
my mind, but I completely understand. Well, that's good. Thank you so much for that information. We're now going to open it up to some questions and answers. Some questions for the audience. I know a few people had some questions, but if you would like to ask a question, make sure that you show the video if you'd like. We'd like to see who we're talking to, but also unmute yourself and you can ask the question. If anybody has any questions, you can do that now.
I'm looking at some of this stuff and oops. I don't know what
I have a question.
Okay, Lisa, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
This is Lisa. So I do have an LLC, but I never made the election. How difficult is it can I fake it now, or can I change my entity structure? Like, how difficult is that?
It's not difficult at all. I tell people sometimes you may need to reach out to us because the language, if you don't really understand the language, I do have people that fill it out on their own, but some people will reach out to us to do it. But you can do it and make it go forward. I would tell you still do it and make it go forward if you know that you don't need it for the past. And when I say needed it for the past, if you're a person that's been showing profit in your business for the last few years and you've had your LLC and you've been filing on what we call a Schedule C, you've been getting double taxed. But the thing about it is we could make this go back 3 years retroactive to where if you've been paying the double taxes on your Schedule C because you've been showing a profit, we can make it retroactive and you can get back whatever additional taxes you've been paying that you shouldn't have been paying because you really wanted to be elected as an S corp.
But I know the deadline is like 2.5 months or something. So you can use language just to say you forgot or something and you can file it later.
Well, one thing I know, and it's so funny that you say that because the IRS know now, like it has an explanation on there why you filed late for your election.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always put on there that we filed the paperwork, y'all just didn't get it because they know, because the unfortunate thing about these forms, they have to be faxed, and one has to be faxed and one has to be mailed. Anything you do with the IRS, if you have to deal with paper, it's hit or miss. You don't know what you're going to get. I tell you, on any job that you have, and including the IRS, there's just going to be people going to suck at their job. So when you fax or email something paper, they're not going to do what they're supposed to with it. So I always go back and say, we've submitted this paperwork. Y'all just didn't get it. And they know they don't. So they say, well, can you resend it? We apologize. But now they even put that on there as an option to say, one of the options, especially on our software, we could do a drop down where it says, I submitted the paperwork, but didn't hear anything back from the IRS. So that would be your thing, is that you filed in a late election because you submitted it timely, but you just never received any correspondence back.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great question, Lisa. Was there anyone else who had a question?
Hey, Brian, this is Cynthia. I had a question.
Okay, I was just about to address your question.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you, what I put into the chat. Like, I know you still get double tax, but does the sole proprietorship protect you if you put it in trust, protect you from being sued or being liable for things personally?
I don't think you can even, and the reason why I'm hesitant on this, because I don't specialize in trust. That's kind of a different beast with taxes. It is taxes, but it's not a common tax. So I can't say that that's one of my expertise, but a sole proprietor, I don't think a sole proprietor can actually go into a trust. I think it has to be formed to either LLC or corporation in order to be before it can actually go into a trust. So I don't think a sole proprietor, if I'm not mistaken, but that's not my lane. I can find an answer out for you. You know, I do very, very limited trust, and it's very minimal amount of work for the ones that I do. So I don't want to give you too much. And I do believe in staying in my lane.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I can say is that most financial institutions, they deal with trusts. And so they have someone that's in charge of trust that can answer those questions. But you want to definitely talk to an executor of a trust or a department trust in the financial institution to ask that question or any questions related to trust.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent question. Yes. All right. So anyone else have a question before we wrap up?
Oh, wow.
All right, Brian, it looks like you answered all of the questions. If you do have any additional questions and you are watching live in any of the groups, or you are watching the replay, #replay, make sure you ask your question down there and we'll make sure that Brian does answer your questions. Brian, thank you so much. But before we go, I want to introduce you to those people that would like to be seen. This is for those people that like to be seen. I understand those that do not want to be seen, and trust me, I understand. But for those that would like to be seen, we would like to learn more about you and who you are, since we are seeing who you are. So let's go with the ride or die chick, Michi. She can show us how it should be done.
Hey, everybody. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, girl, hey.
My name is Michi Renee, and I run a company called the Unicorn Tribe, and that's spelled UNIKORNTRYBE, and you can find me all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, under that handle. I am an intuitive life and business coach. I help women entrepreneurs who want to start a business or who have recently started a business. You have a business idea. I help you take that idea and monetize your skill, gift, or talent in fun and aligned ways. So that's who I am. That's what I do. I also have a nonprofit 501c3 company called Am I Ready? And we actually help students and parents grades 8 through 12 with being college ready. So we do test prep. We also have leadership development, mentorship, and a financial literacy and a bunch of other programs under that 501c3. So you can find that under AMI, so AMIREADYINC, all over social media. Thank you so much for your time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I see Galaxy S9. I'm not sure what your name is, but we see your camera on. Did you want to share your business, who you are, where you from? That's on the phone. Yeah, girl, you up there at the top. Yeah,
Kimberly.
baby.
Kimberly, that's my sister.
That's your sister. Okay. Kimberly.
Still on mute.
No,
Hey,
okay, no,
hon, did you want to share your business and who you are? And thank you for joining us.
Well, my name is Kimberly Amos, and really trying to set up a business. So
You ain't trying. You ain't trying to get doing it.
I'm not trying.
You setting up a business.
Setting up a business.
Okay, setting up a business, and really was trying to see. Well, I am setting up a business, but want to probably link with you, Brian, to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row, like you said we need to do. You said we need to be, what, 80% working on next year?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You already.
I want this year to see if it's set up correctly before I get to next year.
All right.
Awesome.
So I need to reach out to your office and set up an appointment?
Yeah, or just hit him in the DM. He'll answer you in the DM. When he don't answer my text messages, I hit him up in the DM. So you know.
Yeah.
Or call his office.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Congratulations on your new business as well. Thank you everyone else for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. Last but not least, my name is Tara Jackson, aka Madam Money. You may know me as the personal finance expert and contributor for news media such as Fox News, Al Jazeera, Black Enterprise, and I've been featured on Ricky Smiley Morning Show and Get Up with Erica Campbell, which Griff is going to be our guest on Friday. But what you didn't know, or what you may know, is that I also have a company that does business development, is also website development and design for small businesses. I believe that small businesses, regardless of size, should look like a Fortune 500 company, and so that you can get you can attract the clientele that you want and that you need to grow your business. If you'd like to talk about your business or your new website, you can feel free to go to my website, srjwebsites.com. That's srjwebsites.com. Schedule a consultation. Would love to talk to you about your website needs and see how we can get you going as a Fortune 500 company. Look on the internet. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining in, for listening in. Brian, as always, youthebomb.com. I so appreciate you sharing and giving to our community.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you all again. Just know that I love you. There is nothing you can do about it. And don't forget, everybody, wash them hands.
Oh, I thought you were talking about get that money. I thought you were
That
about
too.
get that money.
That money, honey. Have a good one.
All right, you too.